All right, let's talk about ICE and Operation Guardian in Oklahoma. Now, this is an Oklahoma alert, but this kind of thing is happening all over the country. So, good general information. But Operation Guardian in Oklahoma is a statewide law enforcement initiative or whatever, where they stop and inspect commercial vehicles. And their primary goal is identifying and arresting undocumented immigrants, they say, driving trucks and other commercial motor vehicles on major highways like I 35 and I 40. Governor Kevin Stitt launched the program in late 2024 and it is run mainly by the Oklahoma Highway Patrol in partnership with U.S. Immigration and Custom Enforcement. So the operation targets commercial drivers that officials believe, which we know they're evidence for belief, but they believe may be hiding in the United States without legal status, especially those holding commercial driver's license from other states that Oklahoma leaders criticize as, quote, sanctuary jurisdictions. So troopers conduct what they call concentrated sweeps or enforcement emphasis across corridors such as I 40. We used to call them dragnets back when I was a kid, um, or stop and searches. But they didn't do them like this. This is totally different. That's something the police used to do, where they'd set up a stop off of like a highway exit or something and look for people that were drunk or had drugs or something. And even that, I'm pretty sure that got ruled illegal or something at some point, and that's why they quit doing it. But don't quote me on that one. But they stop the trucks. They say that they inspect the trucks, check immigration status, licenses, and English proficiency. So this is one of those situations where they're handing the truck driver like a card or something that has English writing on it, and they have to read it to them to prove, I guess, if they can't read it to the officer's satisfaction, then they just assume that they're not a citizen. If they're brown, I'm guessing that seems to be the pattern. Um, I will tell you there are a lot of Americans that are illiterate, especially in Oklahoma, but something tells me they're not going to be their primary targets. Um, I don't think Bubba Joe is going to get handed that card, but I think Manuel might. Anyway, they, including the Oklahoma Highway Patrol, who's also, by the way, been partnering with ICE in Tulsa and Oklahoma City for at least 6 months that I'm aware of, and detaining people in both of those jurisdictions. But in Tulsa, they're partnering with the Tulsa Sheriff's Department and the Oklahoma Highway Patrol and using David L. Moss to hold the detainees. But I digress. Anyway, Governor Stitt and his cronies call it a public safety measure aimed at keeping dangerous criminals from operating trucks on Oklahoma roads. Because that's what crime lords generally do. They get a job doing long range trucking. Anyway, apparently more than 700 Oklahoma Highway Patrol troopers have been involved in these efforts at various points, making hundreds of contacts, as they call them, during single multi-hour operations and arresting dozens of people per sweep for immigration-related offenses. In one September operation along I 40, officials reported 520 contacts. That's 520 people that they stopped and harassed for no reason. And 120 arrests of, quote, illegal aliens, including 91 commercial drivers, who they allege have criminal histories ranging from DUIs and illegal reentry to drug and human smuggling charges. Yeah, because we all know how easy it is to get a trucking license and a job with a trucking company when you're on drugs. And what the fuck are they talking about? Do you know how hard it is to get a job with most of the big trucking companies? I have a friend who's been on a wait list to get on to a job at a trucking company for like a year and a half, and they pay like really good, but there's a wait list even if you meet the requirements, and then you have to do like urine tests and all that kind of thing. I'm not saying it's that hard to get on everywhere, but what they're saying is stupid. They do background checks and drug checks and all this kind of stuff on truck drivers at most companies. But in January of this year now, troopers ran an Operation Guardian. They call it an enforcement emphasis. That's Jesus Christ. But they did it on I-35 near the Kansas border, focusing on commercial and vehicle inspections as part of the continuing programming. Um, they arrested a number of people during that one as well. So this is just something to be aware of, both in Oklahoma and around the state. And I've also heard that in these sweeps, they're not just targeting truck drivers, they're targeting anybody that they think looks or sounds like they might be not from here.